1. Michael Caine, the legendary British actor known for his iconic roles in films like Alfie, The Italian Job, and more recently as Alfred in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, has always been famously private about his political leanings, but in recent years the 92-year-old star has become increasingly vocal in interviews about what he sees as the woke madness taking over British television and culture. Sources close to the production of ITV's long-running daytime show Loose Women claim that Sir Michael agreed to appear on the program as a rare television guest to promote his new memoir and a retrospective documentary, expecting a light-hearted chat about his 60-year career, Cockney roots, and perhaps a few anecdotes about Zulu and Get Carter. Instead, the atmosphere in the studio reportedly turned electric the moment the conversation veered, as it inevitably does on Loose Women, toward current social issues, gender ideology, and the state of modern Britain. Insiders say the trigger came when panelist Denise Welch, never one to shy away from controversy herself, proudly declared that anyone who says there are only two genders is living in the Stone Age and suggested that traditional views on biology were now harmful and outdated. Crew members present recall Michael Caine, who had been smiling politely up to that point, suddenly leaning forward in his chair, removing his trademark thick-rimmed glasses, and fixing Denise with what one witness described as the same icy stare he gave the criminals in Harry Brown. 2. According to multiple production sources who spoke anonymously to British tabloids, Sir Michael responded calmly at first, saying in his unmistakable East End accent, "Darling, I've been on this planet for 92 years, I've seen empires rise and fall, I fought in Korea, I've worked with Zulu warriors, and I'm telling you now, there are men and there are women. And no amount of shouting on daytime television is going to change basic biology." The audience reportedly gasped, then broke into a mixture of nervous laughter and tentative applause. Denise Welch, visibly taken aback but never one to back down, allegedly fired back that with respect, "Sir Michael, you're from a different generation and some of your views belong in a museum alongside your old film reels." At this point, other panelists tried to defuse the situation. Janet Street Porter apparently attempted a joke about Michael's famous "not many people know that" catchphrase, while Nadia Sawalha reached for the emergency topic change cards, but the damage was done. Witnesses say Caine's face hardened and he replied, "I didn't come here to be lectured by someone who thinks Coronation Street is high art about what I'm allowed to believe after nearly a century of life." The studio floor manager reportedly signaled for a hasty ad break while producers huddled in the gallery in panic. 3. When the show returned from the commercial break, the tension was palpable. Instead of moving on to safer ground like favorite Italian Job moments or Michael's friendship with Sean Connery, Denise Welch doubled down, accusing the actor of transphobia and claiming that older celebrities need to educate themselves or stay quiet on issues that affect real people's lives. At this point, Michael Caine reportedly stood up, still mic'd, and delivered what has already become known as the Loose Women walkout speech. In a measured but unmistakably firm voice, he said, "I've sat here politely while you lot bang on about pronouns and safe spaces, but I draw the line when I'm told I'm not allowed to state the bleeding obvious. I'm not transphobic, I'm not homophobic, I'm not any of your little labels. I'm a bloke who's seen the world change beyond recognition, and I'm telling you straight, if common sense is now considered offensive, then you can keep your show." The audience was split. Some cheered, others booed, and a few elderly ladies in the front row reportedly started slow clapping in support of the national treasure. 4. As Sir Michael removed his microphone pack and began walking toward the studio exit, the gallery erupted into chaos. Producers screamed into talkback for someone to stop him, while the live broadcast cut frantically to a pre-recorded segment about menopause. Off-camera, Denise Welch is said to have shouted after him, "Well, don't let the door hit you on the way out, Granddad," which only further enraged the actor. Security personnel, unsure whether to physically restrain a 92-year-old knight of the realm, simply parted like the Red Sea as Caine made his way through the corridors of ITV's London studios. His publicist, waiting in the green room, reportedly tried to calm him down, but Michael was having none of it, allegedly muttering, "I've worked with proper villains, love, that lot and there are amateurs." By the time he reached his waiting car outside, A small crowd of fans who'd been hoping for selfies had gathered, and footage shot on mobile phones shows him pausing briefly to sign a few autographs while still visibly fuming. Within minutes, clips of the confrontation began circulating on social media, with the hashtag #CaneWalks trending nationwide. Piers Morgan immediately weighed in on his talk TV show, declaring it the most glorious moment in British television history, while GB News ran the footage on loop with the Chiron National Treasure 1A Woke Harpies 0. Meanwhile, ITV executives went into full damage control mode, releasing a carefully worded statement that Sir Michael Caine left the Loose Women studio following a robust exchange of views, as sometimes happens on live television, and insisting that all guests are treated with the utmost respect. Behind the scenes, however, sources claim the atmosphere was apocalyptic, with senior producers allegedly threatening to suspend Denise Welch without pay and demanding an emergency meeting about whether the show's format of provocative debate had finally gone too far when it alienated one of Britain's most beloved living actors. Denise Welch herself took to Instagram Live that same afternoon, tearfully claiming she had been ambushed by a dinosaur and that she stood by every word she said, adding that if Michael Caine can't handle a strong woman speaking her truth, then that's on him. Her supporters flooded comment sections calling for boycotts of Caine's films, while his defenders pointed out that the actor has employed and championed women throughout his entire career, from directing Shirley MacLaine to Oscar glory to his decades-long happy marriage to his wife Shakira. By evening, bookmakers had opened odds on whether Loose Women would ever recover its reputation among older viewers, and memes of Michael Caine's most badass movie lines overlaid with captions like "My name is Michael Caine, a broken bar and there are only two genders" went viral across platforms traditionally dominated by younger users. The following morning, Sir Michael gave a brief interview to the Daily Mail in which he refused to apologize, saying simply, "I went on to talk about my life and my work, not to have my basic understanding of reality questioned by someone reading from a script written by 20-something producers in Shoreditch." He added that he bears no personal ill will toward Denise Welch, but that some things are sacred, and one of them is not being told you're a bigot for knowing the difference between a man and a woman. ITV, facing a potential advertising exodus from its crucial older demographic, reportedly offered Caine an entire primetime special as an apology, which his team is said to have rejected out of hand with the message he'd rather go back to the national service than set foot in that studio again. Loose Women's ratings for the repeat broadcast that night actually soared, proving the old showbiz adage that there is indeed no such thing as bad publicity. In the days that followed, the incident sparked a wider national conversation about free speech, generational divides, and the limits of daytime television provocation. Cultural commentators noted that Michael Caine, once the ultimate Cockney lad made good, had effectively become the unlikely standard-bearer for millions of ordinary Britons who feel silenced by the new orthodoxy. Whether the confrontation marks the beginning of the end for Loose Women's current format remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: at 92 years old, Sir Michael Caine proved once again that he's still capable of blowing the bloody doors off. Just not necessarily the doors of a Mini Cooper this time. And somewhere in London tonight, a certain panelist is allegedly being reminded by producers that when you invite a lion into the studio, sometimes the lion decides he doesn't much care for the circus.